to welcome you to our regular council meeting of July 25th, 2016, and call the meeting to order. Council, looking at adoption of the minutes from the July 12th Committee of the Whole, Special Council and Regular Council. Have there been any errors or omissions at all? Any errors or omissions? Okay, mover please. Councillor Peak, Councillor Holmes. All in favor? Thank you. It's carried. Resolution to adopt the agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one late item. It is, the subject is tree removal at 898 Lighthouse Landing. If we could put that under new business, item 13.1. And there are 3 emails submitted regarding the DVP at McLarty, item 11.2, and they are on your desks in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Thank you, Councillor Holmes, Councillor Peak, all in favor? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carried. We did that twice, didn't we? Okay, moving on to public and statutory hearings for the official community plan bylaw amendment, Parks in Lower Town, bylaw number 216-026, and the zoning bylaw amendment, Parks in Lower Town 2, bylaw number 216-027. And the public hearing process will go as follows. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. During this public hearing, anyone who believes that his or her interest is affected by the proposed development will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaws that are the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the subject bylaws have been made available to the public. Council may ask questions of staff and public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place when the bylaw is considered after the conclusion of the public hearing. At that time, any questions of staff will be for clarification purposes only. I will be inviting the public to come forward and present their comments. Speakers are asked to state their name and address for the record. Speakers are encouraged to limit their remarks to 5 minutes, please, and should include all of the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded for all persons to speak a second or third time once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. I now ask the Director of Development Services to introduce the first item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the OCP adjustment of a piece of property, a number of pieces of property in Lower Town. Essentially a housekeeping amendment to change the OCP from low density residential to park and rezone from RSD1 to park. And the image should be coming on the screen shortly. Again, it's essentially housekeeping. The property is park. However, the OCP amendments in the zoning have never been changed.
So would the public like to make comment at this point? Any member of the public? For the first time? Anybody like to make comment for a second time? And for a third time, would any member of the public like to make a comment in this public hearing? Hearing none, we'll move forward and ask for council to motion to terminate the public hearing, please. Councillor Barkle, thank you. Councillor Peak, seconded. All in favor? It's carried. And so the public hearing for bylaw number 216-2026 and bylaw 2016-027 be terminated. And that's the public hearing is now adjourned. So we can move ahead to delegations. All right?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Orford, please. Kettle Valley Railway.
Good evening, Mr. Waterman, fellow council members. I came at the request of the board to ask this council, who is KVR to the city of Summerland? We don't know. We're a group of people that work up at the Kettle Valley Railway. We've taken up our cross and challenges of this council and gone out and have attracted over 30,000 people into this community every year. And yet when we seem to reach out to you, when we seem to cry out to you, we get a deaf ear. I'm asking, where's the ears that are sent to listen to me, to us? I have a staff of 5 up there that we pay. We have 30 volunteers, a board that gives their time, and none of us feel like we're a part of this community. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, Kettle Valley Railway has brought in 1,700 more passengers this year than we have at this same time last year, which is what Mr. Mayor has asked me to do. He says, compel them to come in, Ken. Compel them to come in. And as a result of the funds that we raise from the 1,750 extra people, we're turned around and a draconian tax bill comes in the mail to take all that money away. On the 3rd of May, every politician, from Mr. Mayor, he sent his Miss Boots, thank you for coming, Miss Boots, Mr. Albus, Mr. Ashton, Chamber of Commerce, all came to a meeting. I did not ask them for financial help, I asked them for guidance to help us. We are in a position where in the next 3 years we need to raise $1 million, otherwise there is an opportunity and a chance that the KVR will not operate. And then I'm hit with a $4,632 tax bill. After I've raised funds since that meeting, I've now had to give it all back to the town. So again, I'm asking you, I'm not lecturing you, I'm asking you. These volunteers come to me almost on a daily basis and says, does the town know that we even exist? I'm asking you, who are we? Think about that for half a minute. I'm out busting my hump trying to help the city of Summerland, and I don't get I get talk, but no action. All I'm wanting is a little guidance. It should cost us nothing to give me that guidance, don't you think? I'll conclude by saying this. I know time is limited. I'm extremely disappointed at the outcome of my meetings and my reaching out to this council. I'm extremely disappointed. The spirit of Summerland is not on our locomotive anymore. And we don't feel that it's properly, that it should be there until we get some help. I'm not asking you to write me a check, Mr. Mayor. I know that that we are all tight for funds. But I just don't get it, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Everett. CAO, you have anything for us to do, or just move on?
There's no questions, you were just answering.
Any questions by council? Mr. Orford? Councillor Peak?
Ken, I don't know you personally, but I certainly saw you at the award ceremony at the Chamber of Commerce. Certainly in my short time that I've been in Summerland, the value of the Kettle Valley Railway and the kind of energy and efforts put in by volunteers and your board of directors is exemplary. So I hope that in the future we'll be able to do some work together. More recently it was identified that you have these large funding issues around the trestle and that, and perhaps there's some opportunity to work together to look for funding for that. Those are the kinds of things that I would hope that we would be able to help with, because certainly, as you understand, tax dollars are tight in terms of whatever. But I just want to say that personally that the efforts are well appreciated, and I think Summerland is in a great response on the map because of the steam railway. There are very few operating railways in Canada at all, let alone around the world. We're very lucky to have you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. And I do appreciate Ms. Peak for noticing the hard efforts of our board and our volunteers and our staff. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much for your time.
Councillor Barkle.
Over the years, I've noticed that the Railway and Society members are particularly passionate and enthusiastic group, but your presentation leaves me kind of confused tonight. You say you're looking for some guidance for us, but I'm not even really sure what the question is. It sounds like the issue is you have a big bill coming up, or what?
I think maybe we should have the CAO explain. Thank you.
Just to be clear, this year when council did the permissive tax exemptions, they maintained the budget at the same as past years, but there was 2 new applications, 2 new nonprofit societies coming in. So the decision was made to reduce the tax exemption for all organizations by 9%. So this year, there was approximately $23,000 that was received in tax exemptions by the Kettle Valley Railway, but they paid the $4,600, which was the first time that they paid that 9%. And of course, council will be reviewing the manner that you do permissive tax exemptions this year and in your workshop to determine whether you're going to go back to 100% exemptions or partial exemptions again.
In the last 2 years, it's been $1,130 is what we've paid. You know, it's gone up 400% in 1 year. That was unbudgeted for. You know, we run a budget. We don't have stockholders. We don't pay a dividend to anybody. We're all the beneficiaries of it. We're all stockholders. Are we not? That's the way that I see it. And I'm sorry if I confused you. I am very passionate. I'm very passionate about being a person of my word. I've been told that I'd get help from here, and I haven't gotten nothing. I got a tax bill.
Are you looking for more than just, it sounded like you were looking for more than any particular dollar amount. Obviously,
No.
Even if you had a full exemption, it wouldn't go towards this $1 million issue that you're facing, or...
It would save me $4,600 towards it. Every time, sir, let me explain something to you. Every time at the railway you touch something, it's $150,000. It's not going down and getting a widget down here at the local hardware store. It's going to cost me $180,000 to put wheels on that locomotive so that we can stay in business. We've sent letters out to the community. We've talked to merchants, retailers, politicians. And when I got that bill in the mail, I was absolutely floored. Not that I'm angry about it. Hey, I'll get by.
So your presentation today is just for next year's permissive tax exemptions, when they're up for consideration, that you would like deeper consideration?
I'd like them to consider what in the long run can happen. You know, I'm still looking for ideas. Mr. Waterman and I have been brainstorming lots. You know, I know that we've talked to some of the other council members. I don't have the answers to get $1 million. If I had that, I wouldn't be here. But I need somebody to sort of poke me in the right direction, not poke me in the eye. Okay?
Do you think that the citizens of Summerland, I mean, we all enjoy the railway and the tourists enjoy it and it brings people, do you think that the town as a whole should subsidize the railway?
Well, aren't we bringing in the customers for the town? Aren't we subsidizing the businesses to the tune of $1.4 million based on what we sell on tickets every year?
So you're saying that the benefit to the community from the tourists that you bring in warrants subsidy from the taxpayers of
No.
Summerland?
What I'm doing is I'm saying that I think that the KVR deserves to have a little return on their investment. Because we're the stockholders. Where's the investment? Where's the return on our investment? If you were investing into a stock that wasn't making any money, you'd sell out.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here.
Yes, sir.
Because I think, Ken, you and I have certainly talked, as you've
Yes, sir.
mentioned, a number of times. And as the board knows, board of directors there, and yourself, I'm extremely supportive, and actually council is too. What we ran into this year was an unfortunate situation of our own budget limitations, where we have a certain level of exemptions that we're giving various groups, right? So it was a total of, what was it, 112,000 or something was the full exemption amount. And we had 2 additional applications for exemption. And so we had to try and figure out if we weren't going to raise the amount of exemption, in other words, enhance the amount of exemption that we were giving overall, then we either disincluded 2 groups entirely and kept things the way they were, or we adjusted things so that it was spread around. And we are having a review, I guess is it a week from this Thursday or something?
Coming up, we have.
It's coming up soon, where we're going to review the exemptions and how we consider things. Because one of the attributes of the KVR, and certainly other facilities in town, in my estimation, is the sort of the way things filter down through the community, okay? You bring in, I think it was last year was 28,000 or close to 30,000, and you've upped the number of carriages this year, and you're looking at quite possibly enhancing that to push over the 30,000.
We will be over 30,000
So,
if
and,
the
you know,
current
I've
rating.
repeatedly said in various ways of stating it, either in my mayor's address or other times, how valuable an asset the KVR is to us, okay? So don't mistake that at all.
Okay.
We and I are very supportive, and we recognize how critical the KVR is, because one thing it does do, if it was you know, out on the highway north of town or south of town, we wouldn't be getting the same sort of benefit as we do when they have to drive through town to get to the KVR. So there's, you know, benefits that kind of pick away at, you know, everybody and help everybody out. So please don't take the situation as you've seen it just now as being council's position. We were faced with a very difficult position or situation of how do we deal with the exemption amount that we had without raising it. In other words, were we going to try and, you know, see another $15,000 or $20,000 of exemptions that we felt we didn't have? Or were we going to try and adjudicate things to try and adjust things throughout the lists of organizations that we had? And so we're going to be reviewing this process, and I'm you know, sorry that it's hit you in this manner. There was not the intent to make it heavily negative, but we were trying to address the whole situation across the community.
Yeah, if
So
I
we
could-
are going to be addressing how we accomplish this next year. Anyway, the CAO, would you like to say something?
Just a note to council, the last time Mr. Orford and I spoke, we did talk about that there are times that grants, some of the infrastructure grants come up that are applicable to be in partnership with a municipality and an organization. And I expressed certainly my wishes or commitment in looking at some of those and keeping
You did.
KVR in mind when we're looking at them to see if they're the ones that fit a particular application as they come up.
Thank you, Ms. Tynan. If I could just close, Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
I just want to say, you know, I think we understand that, and I'm not asking for any special consideration by this council at all. What I'm asking is that when they go to make these decisions, that they think about the impact it's going to have. Because it is going to have an impact. Somewhere along the line, it's made a ripple. And
Just-
thank you for listening to
I
me.
think Councillor Holmes had a question or a comment, and then Councillor Bartle.
We've had our cultural plan task force going on the past year. I don't know if you were involved in any of the open public sessions we had. It was quite clear from all our public consultation the importance of the KVR in the community, not just as a tourist draw, but for the identity of this community and the culture of this community. We're nearing the completion of our report, and in it we talk about the need for a long-term plan for the KVR and the need to work in partnership with organizations such as yourself, but also other community organizations, to make the KVR a integrated part of the culture of this community. For this to happen, we'll basically need your organization in the driver's seat for it, I would say, because you are the, it all kind of revolves around yourselves. And for that to happen, we would need I think a willingness and a cooperative approach from yourselves and for us. Which I think your presentation tonight didn't show me necessarily that's the right approach to take. You said you sent out letters. I've never received one. You said you've talked to politicians. Never spoken to me. This is all news. This is your concerns are news to me. And answering questions with more questions. That's not the right way to go about it. I think we need to work together on this, on making the KVR even a better asset for this community. That's all. It's just a comment.
Just before I let Councillor Barkville jump in, I'm going to say, when I think about all kinds of different issues, and of course, a lot of them will break down to communication efforts by people involved on all sides. And perhaps that's an area where we need to make sure that we're more apprised of, and we must make the effort to be more apprised of your organization and the efforts you're making to enhance your organization and so on. So I'm just saying that the council and myself are certainly, and staff, are certainly willing on our side to look at better ways to communicate with you and to enhance the KVR and hence the town, okay? So don't by any means think there's a lack of desire or intent to move forward with you, okay?
So I can ask, sir?
Anyway, with that, I'll let Councillor Barkville have his question.
I just sort of, I may have sounded like I was grilling you kind of hard, but I wasn't here I was out of town when the decisions were made this year. We're going to be faced with the same decisions next year. I was sort of looking for something I could hang my hat on. Your group versus competing groups, or even away from that, like how can we work together? What ideas do we have? I've heard one about little railway things on the road leading up to the KVR, which would require the cooperation of the district to paint them on the road, and that way people would know how to go, or maybe they would lead them through town. But things like that I can see, but we need something to work with, and maybe a brainstorming session. I'm not sort of grilling you as to how, justify yourself, but we do need to know everything, right?
Given my day, you couldn't grill me hard enough today, sir. And to this gentleman, I've never met you. I don't mean to come across as confrontational. I would, if I'd known who you were, if I'd known how to get a hold of you, if I knew you were willing to talk to me, I would have made every effort to come down and talk to you. My knowledge of how civic politics works is negligible. So I guess when I asked for help and guidance back in the spring, that's what I'm asking. How do you navigate these waters? I'm in a canoe that's going up some very tough water right now, and it's going to affect us all in the outcome. So I didn't mean to sound confrontational. When I read the agenda, it said that I had 5 minutes. So I needed to let you know what was on my mind in 5 minutes, because I thought, like the Supreme Court, you push a button.
It worked, Ken. Councillor Booth.
Just adding to the mayor's comments and other comments for different councillors here, I would like to see not only cooperation between the district and district staff and you and the board, but also, beyond that with the province and the feds. I know that Mr. Elbis and Mr. Ashton both mentioned that there are routes that they could pass on to you to follow up, whether it's you or the board to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there might be an opportunity here for not only our staff to look at municipal type grants, which are obviously provincially and federally funded, but cooperation from the larger or the higher up governments as well.
The federal government,
Yeah.
provincial government have been very supportive of, they talk to us and, to your point, they're sort of trying to give some guidance and, develop a bit of a plan, and a master plan that we can go, so shame on me for maybe not coming to you with that.
No, it's
Just,
Ken, it's a two-way street, and when I think what we're seeing is, now more than ever, we realize that there's a better there's going to be opportunities that we both have to make to increase our communications and to help each other out, so.
thank you.
Thank you very
I've
much.
taken enough of your time, folks.
Thanks
Thank you
very much for coming this evening. Council will move on to the opportunity, number 6, for public comment on any highlighted agenda items. So would anybody like to speak to anything in the agenda that's highlighted, please come forward now. You're standing up now, John?
I'm wondering if I could have a couple of minutes in support of Mr. Orford.
Yes, you may. 2 minutes.
All right. John Dorn, president of the Summerland Youth Center Association. We operate the Harold Simpson Youth Center building. And just like the KVR, we got a surprise tax bill this year of about $1,300. 2 aspects of that are concerning is council might as well have sent a tax bill of $10 to every child in Summerland in the age range of 8 to 15, because that's exactly what's going to happen, because we're going to have to pass that cost on to the groups that use our facility. And I know that you're working with huge numbers here, and 9% probably doesn't mean an awful lot to you, but to an organization which is so run as leanly as our operation with 10 members of a volunteer organization, we're just going to have to pass that on. And I'd like to make another comment here in that both the KVR and the youth center are bringing to our community a service that otherwise I don't think the district would have the capability of offering at all, or offering at a low-cost rate like the youth center does. And we're a group of volunteers, and I think I could also speak to Mr. Orford that when we received this tax bill, we felt really, really unappreciated. The other last comment is on May the 3rd, the Kettle Valley Railway gave the Legion a charter of the railway so we could take veterans, war brides, and all the members of the Legion on a ride in commemoration of VE Day and the 100th anniversary of transportation of troops to the First World War. So that's the kind of service that Mr. Orford and his organization are offering to members of the community as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Anybody else like to make comment on any highlighted agenda item? Okay, we'll move on. Guess we're moving on to my report. It seems that Summerland has become the focal point for some hectic activity. Of course, the change in the weather doesn't hurt. My wife Claire and I toured virtually all of Summerland yesterday, and we went down through downtown, a couple of wineries. All these places, the beaches were very full with visitors and residents. After that tour, we spent the afternoon at Powell Beach. It was incredibly busy, with families having picnics, loungers like myself lying around reading and so on, and tons of kids ripping in and out of the water. And in addition, the lake was dotted with power boats, sailboats, kayaks, and paddleboards. We later stopped at Summerland Suites. It was packed. And they were buying, people were cruising all the shelves, and the Sleeping Giant Winery as well, and the other winery we visited also had a full parking area. So things, I couldn't believe how busy every segment of the town was yesterday. It's just kind of wondered where did everybody come from. But every parking lot from Sunoco through to Rotary to Peach Orchard Beach to areas uptown were all busy. And on Saturday, as it would happen, I just happened to be at the golf course. It was also busy. I see the odd snicker, but anyway. Not only with regular players, but there was yet another tournament on for the afternoon. All the golf carts were lined up with locals and visitors. And the golf course is making quite an effort to sort of combine activities, so they have, quite frequently, they have tournaments that bring in 80-odd people at a time for a tournament. So that's another outfit that actually draws people through the community. This, of course, is all combined with our Sunday market, and it really does make you realize when you make a bit of a tour like that in one day, how much Summerland has to offer to both residents and visitors. That sort of lines up with another comment I have here about other economic activity. I was talking to our Development Services Department today, and it's interesting that things are moving apace. For the month of June, there were 17 building permits issued with a value of $4.75 million. Versus last year, there were a few more last year, 24 during the month of June, but with a value of $2.6 million. So what that indicated to us was, you know, there were more single-family residences being built this June than last June when you start bringing in things like decks, renewed decks, swimming pools, et cetera, that may be put in. So year-to-date, we've had 101 building permits in 2016 compared to 95 last year. And but this is actually for an increase of 1.3 million year-to-date. And I guess are we halfway through now, Ian? Roughly?
Just over half.
Yeah. So when we look at general activity, we've got other projects such as the Jones Flat and Garnet Valley Water System Separation Project that are getting close to the construction phase. The necessary pre-construction work, as was outlined earlier today by the head of Public Works, is almost complete, and things will be moving ahead with things actually happening in the ground in September. There will be an informative open house held on Thursday, August the 4th from 6 to 9 at the Arena Banquet Room concerning that particular project as well. That's my report. CAO.
I think you covered just about everything that was in mine, so.
I didn't even talk to you.
I know.
just stole it.
Just for council's information, the two meetings that we were looking at trying to schedule, one for the permissive tax exemptions workshop and the other for the cultural plan. I haven't heard back from everybody. We do have one council member that is not available to attend either, but there's been some, I think, that I haven't heard back from, so.
Okay, who are the culprits?
So if you
Probably
can,
me.
if you,
Not me.
I think it's, both start with the same initial.
Do they?
Oh, did you? Yeah, so if you haven't responded back, if you could, and then we have to look and see if we have to try to reschedule, but summer's going by so quickly, we need to do that. And I think I'll leave it at that today.
Okay, thank you. So have we any unfinished business resolutions to be brought forward? Nothing? Okay. Move on to 9.2 CAO, UBCM appointments.
UBCM appointments, okay, so we kind of hoped to put this on the committee of the whole meeting this morning, but we knew we had a full agenda, so we put it on tonight's meeting. I've provided, the time's running out for, to put requests in for UBCM meetings. So far, what's been talked about that I've had note about is Minister of Education to talk about the social and economic impact of school closures and our perspective on that. Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, Lakeshore Pathway funding, and that would be a joint meeting with Penticton Council. Ministry of Community Sport and Development, there's a number of things that is our ministry, the municipality's ministry. We certainly, and that could also be with the Premier if we wanted to meet with the Premier as well, talking about the importance of the infrastructure grants, and specifically, we have one outstanding application that may not be announced before then, so it's always good. They made note that when we did receive our Garnet Valley Water Project, note that it was the presentations at UBCM that really brought it to the forefront of them. So that's, you would probably be. And then possibly the Minister of Forest Lands and Natural Resources. We do have the rural dividend application pending. I did speak to staff about that one, and at this point in time, they're still expecting that the announcements will be made in September for the stream that we applied for, but then of course we won't know for sure before we put the application in, so we may want to put a request in anyways to speak with them in case it's not announced. The other one that Mr. Seelman from the Trans-Canada Trail Society had contacted us a while back about the issue about motorized vehicles on the part of the KVR trail. And basically what they're asking for is just that the public process that the ministry promised gets moving, because it's a highly controversial issue, and Mr. Seelman feels that it's being stalled, and our recreation manager did try to talk to the senior staff at the province, who have just said that it just doesn't have any legs right now. So it could be that a meeting with the minister or the senior staff could help move that along. So that is what I have noted has been discussed so far.
One that I was wondering, I think you mentioned earlier to me, follow up on the perpetual slide request. We had talked to the Premier plus several ministers last fall at UBCM. And we essentially haven't heard too much, as you.
Right, well, there was some concern there on whether or not we're ready for an actual ask of something. I mean, we're doing some follow-up work with the perpetual slide coming out of the Golder report, and we've done some work, but and there's been some meetings with the ministries and emergency management, but I'm not sure whether or not we're ready for, it never hurts, I guess, last time we got shifted to the sort of a incorrect ministry, so we could certainly go and talk about our concerns about it.
Well, I was concerned because I think the Premier mentioned a sum of money that may be available to enhance or allow us to do the study work that was required.
Right, so I certainly can, we can certainly put something together and for sure. And then that's the purpose of this meeting, exactly that, is to find out what other.
Yeah. So is anybody else, Councillor Holmes?
We had spoken about requesting a meeting with Shirley Bond for tourism. The presentation we just heard from the KVR, I think that would be a great opportunity to put on their radar. And also there's some skills development. She's the same minister responsible. I think there's some things we could talk about in that department as well. And I just wanted to ask, have we been in touch with the city of Penticton regarding a joint meeting with the?
I did talk to their CAO, and he informed me that he would make those arrangements.
Okay.
So just going back, when we put the actual requests into, I do a brief later on, but the actual request is a paragraph that requires. So if we looked at the Minister of Tourism and Skills Development, are you thinking that we want to talk specifically about the KVR and opportunities for funding for our large projects, or what were you thinking?
Well, if we want to put a plan together with the KVR Society for the long-term viability of the KVR and its importance to this community for tourism, I think the province should be aware of that and see what kind of support we can get from them.
I think that's certainly true. The one, if you, in the appointment book, when you look under the Minister of Tourism, they specifically have a category that's support for significant major projects. I know in a previous municipalities, 2 times on the tourism perspective, we went on a particular item that was very important to the community and had that conversation to highlight it. So I think
you get more results too, don't you, when you're looking specifically as opposed to a broader
Absolutely,
feel.
yeah. I mean, you can certainly have a broader conversation about your community as well, but to focus it into one, yeah, for sure. Okay.
First of all, Councillor Barkle, then Councillor Peak.
Regarding the perpetual slide, I understand the Fish and Game Club's application to have some work on the stream rehabilitation wasn't successful, but
That's right.
I wonder if there isn't an approach we can take with whichever ministry is responsible for that sort of thing, stream rehabilitation, and work on it from that angle, because I think they're all related. It's the water going into this, through the slide and carrying the silt and stuff, and if you dealt with that, you would be fixing the habitat for the fish, which may be more important to some people, or it might be a department that has more money than others.
Well, perhaps what we should do is talk about it amongst staff and look at closer where they may fit and know that we will get perpetual slide on there, and we'll look at which avenue is the best way to go. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I do think that the larger issue with the perpetual slide is understanding the geology of things and the geographic implications in terms of, if there was any kind of catastrophic movement. So that needs to be studied to understand if there's ways of mitigating or obviating the potential problem. Councillor Peak.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also feel that the discussion with the Shirley Bond regarding tourism and the KVR is a very apt opportunity. As the director said, they had the meeting, and Dan Albus and Dan Ashton both were very interested. And we know with the discussions with our own representatives that they have said, if it comes through that both levels are interested in the same things and the province feeds into the federal discussions on that you have a greater opportunity for support. And I think that the amount of funding that the KVR needs for infrastructure is certainly something that would warrant that kind of support from us through UBCM to our representatives. So I think that opportunity really is something that we should take advantage of. Henry Seelman's, when he did his presentation to council, there is certainly a lot of interest in our community to have this particular item of motorized trail discussions brought forward. And whether the province feels there's legs, we are the level of government to let them know that this really is something that our community needs a disposition on and needs that process to come forward. So sometimes their timing needs some identification from the lower levels that the timing should be now, not later. So I think that's another one that we should certainly do. I would like to ask the CAO, I know we brought forward last year at UBCM the signage things on the highway, and I know that you're following that up, so I hope we have some resolution on that before we get to UBCM, that we wouldn't find it necessary to have another discussion.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else relative to Councillor Traynor first, and then Councillor Barton?
I agree with Councillor Peak and Councillor Holmes about talking to the province about the ATV issue. I don't think that that's going to go away. I also think that we should talk about the Kettle Valley Railway, and I think that it's one of our assets, but it also belongs to the whole province. Like it has a really big historical value to everybody in BC, and it's one of the last railways, so I think it's worth bringing that forward as well. And then I wanted to ask you, Linda, did we talk about a wildfire management plan, or talking to the province about that, or?
I talked to the fire chief about it because we have applications in, and I understood when I was at the regional district at our CAO meeting last week that they were putting in a request because they had understood that the funding levels were being changed and that it was difficult to get the percentage matching. And the fire chief informed me that he didn't think that our funding levels were being altered at all. So that's where at this point in time, we felt that the program was actually quite good and that we were getting our grants as we applied for them. So we were going to do some more follow-up and make sure that I was going to phone Mr. Newell at Regional District to find out what change in program he was talking about. So we don't need to talk to them if the program hasn't changed, because we've been quite successful in it, and we have a new application going in now.
I think the only, regarding that particular issue, I think the reference that, the fire chief and CEO are talking about is really kind of interface management,
Right,
where we're prescription dealing with it. But the broader issue that we talked about in addition to that at the RDOS last meeting, if I'm correct, Councillor Booth, was the overall impact on our, for example, our watershed. It's beyond the interface areas, but the impact of a wildfire on our watershed area would be massive. And because the water quality might be impacted, would be impacted. And everybody south of us depends on, we are the second largest watershed in the basin. So we have a major contribution to everything south of us with respect to water that moves through the system. So, the thing is, the issue, the wildfire mitigation in an area like our watershed, it's well beyond our actual borders, but it is our watershed. And so to discuss that and discuss funding to deal with management of it would involve the Pentagon Indian Band, the regional district, forestry companies, and the provincial government, as well as ourselves. So it's a much bigger issue, but it's one that I think needs to be addressed in order to, if there's any mitigation efforts that could be moved forward. And wildfire plans have been put together for broad areas. I think Logan Lake was one which recently had one completed. And there's a contractor that I've talked to that does this sort of thing on a contract basis, and it might be worth talking to him to see how, if possible, it would be to move towards an overall mitigation program for the watershed. But it's a huge topic, involves a lot of players. That's certainly not an easy task. So, but we, at the same time, we do have to do what we can in the interface area, because that's what's critical immediately for residences and so on within the boundaries of Summerland. Councillor Traynor.
Yeah, just to add to that, I guess I was just wondering if, in the wake of what happened in Fort McMurray, if there's any new strategies that they've come up with or any further support to help communities like ours that have a lot of forest behind them. I didn't know if there's anything new that's come out of that.
I wouldn't mind betting there's discussions going on somewhere.
I think that what we'll do in an upcoming meeting is have the fire chief come. He, of course, meets with the provincial bodies regularly on the new programs, et cetera, and we can have him come and do a presentation and get the updates from him.
Councillor Barclay?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to digest it, but I sent the email late last night about the revenue from farm
Yeah, I saw
properties. Yeah, and I wondered if there's an angle, or if that's something that we can't pursue at some point somehow. I'm not really quite sure how to go about it. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts to the CAO?
When I saw it, and I had wanted to put some more thought in it, and the day just got away from me today, but although we do have a large area and we do have farmland, our assessment base is not that particularly much smaller than other assessment bases. It's more important, in my opinion, to get a long-term plan and understand how we're going to go about fixing our infrastructure and maintaining it. The first step, of course, being the asset management plan, but the second step, getting just the financing strategies and the plan so that we know in 5 years what roads are going to be repaired and what water mains are going to be repaired and what sewers, and to have it's not so much as not having the tax base to do those things. I don't necessarily agree with that statement that we don't have them. The funds, the conscious decision has to be that needs to be a priority on where those funds go, and that there needs to be a plan with it. So I think more work needs to be done on that assessment base and how much difference that would make.
I was thinking more in the terms of the whole fairness of the situation where, the communities like Summerland, the residential areas have to subsidize, in effect, the agricultural lands that aren't paying the normal property tax.
But in another community, that they would say that, that a business would has to subsidize the residential, or, you know, there's different classes all the time. If you do have an industry, that's their argument, that they're subsidizing all the residentials.
But the point is here that this is a situation that's established by the province as a provincial priority, that farms don't pay not
Right.
much farm tax. So the province as a whole, society as a whole in BC should help pay that bill, not just the people of Summerland.
I think,
My-
Yeah.
My
Anyhow.
recommendation would be that we actually do a little work on that over the year and aim, if we're thinking of aiming to go to UBCM, to be aiming the next year, because I think it's a complex situation that we do need to do quite a bit of analysis on it, and I don't think there would be time between now and September.
No, maybe not this year, but I hope to discuss it with other
Mhm.
councillors at UBCM and see what their thoughts are and such.
I
Yeah.
think that's something that, I'm pretty privy in a personal way with farm situation and the way, there's a differentiation between farmland and residential, et cetera. And there's certainly major premises that the tax situation is built on. And I think we need some deep consideration in a discussion before we're going to bring anything forward in that vein that suggests a massive alteration in the way things are done.
Well,
So
like
I would argue very strongly against your case, actually.
Well, I'd like to have that discussion
Yeah,
at some
well, we
point.
will
and
at
then
some
we'll-
point.
Yeah.
Because at UBCM, it is the correct venue once council has debated it and come to a conclusion on that or other, often municipality will go on policies about vacant land assessments or different categories, different ones. So it is certainly a topic that hopefully we can move to more discussions about.
So we need a recommendation.
Well, if there's,
resolution to move.
unless there's more ideas.
Is there any more ideas that people would like to bring forward at all? Okay, I think we've probably got enough to work with for now. Oh, Councillor Buck.
The other one I had was like support for the RDOS's
Actually,
two-tier
two-tier,
rate, yeah. I don't
actually,
know
that
what
is a
we
good
can
one.
do to add our voice to that, or.
I wouldn't suggest, I would not suggest a ministers' meeting, especially with us having our own utility. I would suggest, if we didn't, the appropriate thing might have been to do it as a resolution for UBCM, and that's too late, I believe, at this point in time. but-
Resolution is being put forward already, so maybe.
It's
we
voting.
should speak to it.
Yeah, speaking to it at.
That'd be an option for sure.
Then
There's
s-
been a lot of discussion at the board level in RDOS on the two-tier system and how it impacts residents that only have
Mhm.
the electrical option for heating their homes.
And then there will be other meetings that we'll schedule with senior staff since at the time of being able to be there with the staff on various outfits. So we'll have Minister of Education, Transportation and Infrastructure, Community Sport Development, Forest Lands, Natural Resources, Tourism, Jobs, Tourism, Skills Training, the ministry responsible for perpetual slide.
Okay, sounds good. Would someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Holmes?
As written, as presented.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Peak. All in favor? Thank you. Resolution passes. No one opposed. Okay. Moving to correspondence, 10.1. Are there any items of correspondence that any of the council would like to bring forward, please? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to have the resolution brought forward, please, under 10.1. Don't all jump at once. Councillor Trainer.
I'll bring it forward as written.
Yeah, okay. Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes. So it'll be received for information. All in favor? Thank you. Motion passes. Same thing for commission minutes. Any comment there that anybody wants to make on the committee minutes? Okay, hearing none, would someone like to bring that resolution forward, please? Councillor Peak, thank you.
That the minutes included in the report dated for July 25th, 2016, regular council meeting from the Manager of Legislative Services be received for information.
Seconder, Councillor Carlson, thank you. All in favor? Motion carries, none opposed. Thank you. Moving ahead now to Development Services Report. CAO.
We'll go with Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First application this evening is to add or receive the Hunters Hill Local Service Area petition for the property known as Hunters Hill, located at 19013 Bentley Road. There were, when originally we started, 3 separate titles that form the Hunters Hill properties. Since we started this, there's been a neighborhood plan adopted. There's a rezoning application that has allowed all the 1 hectare lots to be clustered into one area of the property, provided there was a parkland dedication of a significant portion at the same time. Since that time, this upper portion here has been dedicated as park, and this title has been removed from the area. So the current subject property to petition for the sewer service is shown in red on the screen, and it requires a force main that will connect down to Turner Street. Now, there are still 2 options available for this property to deal with its wastewater. One is through a series of communal septic systems, which I understand have been designed or conceptually proven and can be constructed. And through that design process, it became evident that while a gravity main could not be connected from the Hunters Hill area to our gravity system, a force main could be connected. And a force main is a line under pressure that can follow the ups and downs of the terrain. It doesn't have to be gravity sloped, which means the pipe can be smaller, and it can be not buried quite so deeply in areas, and it's a cheaper method of connecting to the system. The only downside potentially is that it does not allow properties along the route to connect to the pipe because it is a force main. In this particular case, the subject property is designated rural residential on our official community plan, and we can see that adjacent to that area there is the Bentley Road Industrial Park. So moving in a little bit tighter here, became evident that with the construction of the lift station, which would be somewhere in this location that would pump the effluent through this force main down to our gravity system, it goes right through the Bentley Road Industrial Park. And the developer has agreed to size the lift station and the force main to pick up the effluent from the industrial park should they wish to join the sewer system. There is one other piece to that, and that is that a gravity main would be required for these individual industrial lots to connect into, which may require a spur line into Bentley Place and some of these other roads. So the theory being these industrial properties drain into the gravity main, which drains into the lift station. The Hunters Hill properties up here are all gravity main down into the lift station, and then the lift station forces the effluent through the force main to the gravity system on Turner. So the question being asked today is by the developer is he has petitioned the district to add the area in red to the sewer system, and the resolution or the recommendation in the agenda package was drafted by our solicitor, and essentially it is suggesting that if council wishes to add this area and accept the petition and add this area into the sewer system, that there be a number of conditions that are agreed to by the developer and the district prior to the bylaws being adopted. And essentially that means that the Hunters Holding Group, the developer, will construct at his cost the force main and the lift station such that it will service the Bentley Road Industrial Park, and that he will waive any latecomer obligations with respect to the force main and the lift station. However, he is not in support of constructing the gravity main. He feels that that is a responsibility of the industrial park should they wish to petition the city and become included in the system, much like the Milkmore system, Willow system was brought into the system. However, if that was forced upon him, then that section would be latecomer shareable through an excess or extended services resolution. So at this point, staff are suggesting or recommending that the area be included, the petition be accepted, the staff be directed to draft up an agreement following the items in the resolution, which suggests that the connection has to be by force main and it has to be sized so that it will take the effluent from the industrial park should they wish to connect at some time in the future. That agreement be drafted and signed by the parties, and once that is done, then the bylaws would be drafted and we would move forward.
Thank you. Okay, so the main question is on the additional gravity feed as to whether they put that in or it's done by the industrial area at some later date. So, but if the developer puts that in now, then it would be, he would be able to collect those latecomer fees to deal with that gravity main?
He would be able to, but the statutory limit on latecomers is a 15-year term. So there is no guarantee that any funds would be coming his way. That would only be if people petitioned the city, the petition was accepted, they connected to the system within the 15-year period.
Okay, so is it basically a better situation then to treat the industrial area as a separate item, but have the whole force main size to accommodate? Because then you've got a separate, if they get enough properties together that want to use the sewer system, then they would have to construct a gravity main to get to the lift station, correct?
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
At this point, it seems reasonable that there's about $1 million of expenditure to get this force main from the Turner Street gravity location out to the Hunters Hill system and construct a lift station, and that infrastructure would allow the industrial park to connect to it should they want to sometime in the future.
Okay. The sizing of that pipe, the force main pipe, given, the rationale for force main, as we've had it explained to us up till now, is that because it's a force main that is under pressure, that none of the ag properties, and you indicated that it may be a bit of a negative factor that they wouldn't be able to hook in. I actually regard it as a positive factor that they can't hook in because it's a force main. Is there any way of assuring that the volume coming from Hunters Hill, as well as any potential volume, which we probably don't have much of an idea on, from the industrial area, that the main will be sized to accommodate those two, but not any additional volume?
Mr. Mayor, the main will be sized to allow for the 67 lots at Hunters Hill and a per square foot estimate in our subdivision and development bylaw for the development that would be allowed in the industrial park. Whether the size that would accommodate those two would be sufficient to add in another few ag properties, likely it would. However, because the pipe is under pressure from this point here all the way down the green line to Turner, it would be very difficult for anybody to connect onto that green line. They would have to extend the gravity main, tear up the road, and bring that up for them.
Wouldn't it just have to match the pressure of the force main?
I suppose technically it's possible, but it would be very complicated and very expensive, and certainly not something that a single landowner could probably accommodate.
The idea of the force main is the only thing that really puts me in agreement with this whole concept, because I do remember in my past a situation down Switchback where we extended the sewer to accommodate a number of lots partway up Switchback, and there was only so many lots that would be requiring the sewer. And I know this is a bit of a red herring, but at the same time, when I asked about sizing of the pipe, it was made clear to me that the sizing of the pipe was well beyond the number of lots that were suggested at the time. And so it was actually looking at the idea, well, we know at some point in time there's going to be a lot more development in the area. So my, I have this wariness about me, and that's why I've continued to want to fully understand the force main idea, because I'm trying to protect the ag lands between this development and Turner. And so that's, I'm up till now been quite satisfied that that's the case. So that's where I sit on that. Pardon me? Well, I have my stump in my foot also. So that's for emphasis. At least I'm not using my fist. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, on that aspect. I wonder if, do we have any other forced main sewers in Summerland?
We do, Mr. Mayor, the main one, and the Director of Public Works can correct me here, but we do have one in Lower Town that connects all the effluent from the Lower Town area, and then that is pumped through a force main along the highway to the sewer treatment plant in Trail Creek.
And could I ask the Director of Public Works, did this force main present any different further maintenance challenges?
The proposed force main?
Yeah, any force main, I mean general, or this one, or
There's no unique maintenance issues with it. Sometimes when the flows are, if it's designed for the larger flows, and when we're seeing a small portion of the development area being used, there may be some additional flushing of that portion that may be required, but nothing unique.
Any other questions of staff? Councillor Barkle?
I was just wondering, if there's large areas that are preserved up there as park, why the entire area is included in the sewer area, and why not just the area for development?
That's a very good question, and we did look into that, Mr. Mayor, and the reason that we don't is because you have to have a legal lot. The owner of the lot has to petition. So until the lot is subdivided, the only piece that's available to petition is the entire parcel.
Councillor Pete?
I feel that this is a solution that works for the community plus for the developer, so I'm satisfied with what has come forward from staff on the recommendation.
Would you repeat that again? Are you bringing the recommendation forward?
She's good.
Pardon me?
good with it.
She's good with it.
Oh, okay, just good with it. Okay. I wasn't quite hearing you properly. I think you were talking that way and I didn't hear you. Just looking at this to see, essentially the recommendation is including the Hunters Hill, Forest Main, et cetera, with the option to include the industrial area besides for that, but there's no provision in here right now for the developer to have to do anything in addition to that.
That's correct.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. The resolution, as it's worded, suggests that the developer has to pay the cost of the force main. It has to be sized to allow for the industrial park to connect, as well as his own development, that there will be no latecomer provisions on that section. But should anything else be required of him, that would be latecomer shareable. And that agreement will be drafted up prior to the sewer bylaw coming to council for readings.
Okay, thank you. Okay, something like Councillor Trainer?
So if the Bentley Road industrial area does want to tie in, then they have to put a gravity
Yes.
feed in? Okay. So they can do that then at any time once this is built?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. I'm just looking for the slide here that will show.
And there would be no latecomer fees on that?
There would be no latecomers on
'Cause
the
they would be paying
new
for
feed
it.
because they'd be
Okay.
paying for it.
Got it.
They'd pay for it entirely on
Yep.
their own between the properties, just like the Trail Creek
Yep.
deal.
It could be, Mr. Mayor, the same situation that we did the sewer work in Choke Creek. So what could happen is all those industrial properties could get together, they could petition to have the sewer extended. They could either pay for it themselves, or they could petition the district to pay for it and then reimburse the district on their taxes every year for 20 years or whatever the term. Very similar. So there's a couple of options there.
Yeah. I guess the only negative thing I see to, I mean, right now it's certainly positive, and I like the approach, and I'm sure Mr. Murphy does as well. But in terms of our industrial area itself, as you know, it's going to take a period of time for commercial properties to come to that area, and if they decide to move into that area and they need sewer to be there, then they're essentially put in a position of waiting until enough properties have come together that need sewer to petition to have the gravity main put in, et cetera. So I'm just looking at the options for businesses to move there when there's not a significant chance of them having sewer to that area for quite some time.
Or they could put it in and be eligible for latecomers as new ones come
I see,
after them.
Okay. That's the only concern I have, but I think it's addressed.
Just one other point is that if the development, or if the properties at the north end wish to connect to the sewer, it would be the same as anybody else. They simply put the sewer across their frontage. It's a reasonably short
Yeah.
stretch, then the next person connects on and continues. It's only if the person at this end wants to connect first that the gravity main has to be put the entire way in one shot,
Gotcha.
and that would be.
Would there be excuse me, Councillor Holmes, just one more question here, of the CAO and probably through to our Director of Development Services, but would that mean that the municipality would be in a position perhaps to move ahead and then have properties brought in paying latecomer fees to a system that we might put in place?
You certainly could look at any number of those options if it was a priority for the district to fund it, first of all, and latecomers certainly can work that way as well.
Because, you know, one of the key things that I'm thinking of, we've got an advantage with our other industrial area that, you know, it is a sewered area. It's a prime area for any development that wants to come in that ultimately might require sewer. And the negative aspect about this particular area is that it does not have sewer and therefore is limited into what sort of businesses might want to apply to use the properties. So if we're setting it up for that, I think we have to be open to the idea of encouraging businesses that need that and look at our opportunities in that area. So, Councillor Holmes.
I think you raise a good point, Mr. Mayor. I think if we want to encourage businesses moving in there, it'd be a lot more attractive industrial area if there was sewer there already. I don't know how much it would cost to build that gravity main. I don't know if anybody has any ballpark figures.
320.
Oh, is it there?
320,000 apparently.
How much?
320.
Yeah.
Just
You know, so, you know, I think it might be at a future point worth discussing whether it's something we want to do, and you know, then presumably we can get
Well,
the latecomer.
It's certainly something that staff has talked
Yeah, yeah.
about that particular option, so.
I think that's one of the things that's pushed me to this point with Hunter Hills is that, you know, when this combined option showed its head, it raised that opportunity for us as a community. So as long as we've got the ability to entertain that, I'm pretty good with what we've been presented. Any other comments or questions by council? Question of staff? Councillor Booth?
I just have one comment.
Well, question maybe of staff.
Oh, sorry, it's not a question.
Okay. Someone like to bring the motion forward, then we'll have further discussion? Councillor Peak? Just as stated, we don't have time for the whole
Yeah.
thing.
I have to read it. You need
Yeah,
a
read it.
seconder. I jumped the gun last time. I need a seconder.
Okay, moved by Councillor Peak, second, Councillor Booth. Okay, Councillor Booth, would you like to?
Oh, my comment is just that this has been a bit of a long haul for Mr. Murphy, hasn't it,
Sorry.
Patrick? And I just, I might be out of place here, but through the CAO, I would like to commend the staff, and this is a comment that I got a couple of weeks ago, just kind of wandering around Summerland. He was not in the urban growth area, this property, then he was out, then he was in, you know, all of that. There's that dedication of a significant size for the park. There was the discussion about the cluster housing development and how we kind of worked through that, and it, you know, with our Director of Development Services, we managed to get that done. There was the discussion about the impact of the collective sewer septic system on the wetlands, and there was quite a bit of concern about that. I just think that this possibility having come forward and being presented to us especially with the opportunity for the sewer in the industrial park, because to me, that the location of that particular industrial park, with the being so close to the highway, is so much more ideal than the one out in James Lake. So I just, you know, I think I love to see these things come together with cooperation with, you know, everyone. So that's all I want to say.
We'll have to send a sympathy card to Mr. Murphy, but I'll fall short of that. Okay. Okay, council, are we ready to move ahead? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you very much. None opposed? Okay. Next, we're still with the Development Services, 11.2.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a development variance permit for the property at 12830 McClarty Place, which is known as the Deer Ridge area. The lots on the south of the red perimeter are the existing neighborhood of Deer Ridge, and the property that's the subject of this development variance permit application is the remaining property shown in red. The property is zoned RSD3, which we'll see on a slide coming up. But for this property to develop, it requires also extension of the district's sewer system from the connection point at Prairie Valley Road all the way down around Cartwright Mountain and up and into the site, which is a significant sewer extension. It has been estimated in 2013 at between $1.3 and $1.8 million, depending on the route. There was 2 routes that were looked at the time. The property, as you, I'm sure, well remember, was included in the district's urban growth area. And the urban growth area was adopted specifically to allow increase in density in that area as part of our growth strategy. It is designated as low-density residential on our official community plan, and it is zoned RSD3, which is a 1,000 square meter minimum lot size that must be connected to the district sewer system. So the application in front of council today is the developer wishes to subdivide off some 1 hectare parcels in that area and get a development variance permit to waive the requirement to bring the sewer from the connection point up to that site. And that's a variance permit because any development in the RSD3 zone does require connection to the district sewer system regardless of the lot size. And there are a number of issues discussed in the staff report with respect to this issue. The most significant being that this is a significant part of the district's growth strategy that was fully debated when the growth strategy was adopted, and there's the potential for between 75 and 80 lots in that area. What's shown on the screen there now is a subdivision application that was made in 2013, I believe it's 2013, and received 3rd reading to go down to RSD2 zoning, and it failed. The zoning didn't go through because we were waiting for a subdivision servicing agreement, and the offsite servicing was too expensive at that time. So the concern here is that if these lots are divvied up in some fashion, this is just a staff's attempt to show what 1 hectare lots might look like, which is kind of like that. There would be 6 or 7 or maybe 8 lots versus the 75 or 80 lot potential. And if you read in the staff report there, the developer has submitted an intent as to why he wants to do this. They're trying to get some value out of this land. In their mind, it is too expensive to extend the sewer up there. And if they do subdivide something similar to the lines shown on the map, it's still following the area plan, if you like, that was submitted before. The thought being that if property owners in the future, once somebody else brought sewer up to that area, they could re-subdivide down along those lines, rededicate or dedicate the roads and make smaller lots and connect to the sewer. Also, they have offered, as part of this variance permit, to construct a dry sewer system within the road network that would be dedicated and constructed so that, again, that would facilitate future subdivision. In this particular case, staff are recommending a denial of the variance permit. And the rationale there is that this is a significant portion of our growth strategy. There's a 75 lot potential there. We do require these residential lots in our community. And the idea, although well thought out in the fact that those lots could be re-subdivided in the future, the idea that they would be re-subdivided in the future, once a significant portion of value is taken out of that piece of property, the chance of sewer ever coming up there other than on the district's dime is virtually zero. And even if the district did bring the sewer up there, if any one of those lots decided that they liked their 1 hectare parcel and didn't want to future subdivide, they could prohibit others from subdividing because road dedication is required to facilitate others. You can see the road network there. Just a very unlikely scenario that could occur. So staff are not recommending support of the variance permit at this time.
Okay. Council, questions of Development Services, please. Councilor Peak.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mr. McIntosh, normally development is for sewer extensions or sewer additions are borne by the developer, which was what the requirement was when there was the application for the 75 homes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that is traditionally how we look at development coming to an area, is that it's paid for by the development itself. Otherwise, the rest of the community then pays the costs. And I don't like the idea of a notional subdivision, that the value of the land goes out on the hectare, on these 1 hectare properties that then may or may not decide to come in on a sewer extension. So I don't see how that could work.
Council, yes.
I just was going to say that the developer's consultant is in the gallery, and as this is a development variance permit, there is normally opportunity for the public to speak as well. I'm
Okay.
sure you're well aware of that.
Would the developer like to come forward, please? Or anybody else, as a matter of fact, as well. Mr. Lenko.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I haven't had the opportunity to view. I heard early in the session that there was a few letters regarding this matter. Presume they're letters of opposition?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't specify that, did I?
No.
I can give you copies of them if you want to see them, or do you want me to read them out?
That's
or-
okay. I'll go through my report and maybe you can read them out later, and if I have a question, I might question it.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great, thanks. I've just got a brief presentation. Thank you again for the opportunity to come and have a chat with you folks. I've had a fair amount of discussion with Ian about this, and we've agreed on some items, and we've agreed to disagree on some items. So I'm going to put my best foot forward, and we'll have a discussion and see if I can answer some questions. There's 2 items that staff is concerned about. The biggest one certainly is the perceived notion that a potential loss of the development opportunity on the site, and the second one is that the development on individual septic system simply makes future ability to fund a sewer extension less likely. So on that first item of the potential future development, I've got a few points. This subdivision could be designed to a higher density with lots consolidated to create 1 hectare lots. Covenants could be used to indicate where the homes could be located based on the building envelopes of the long-term design, and this will protect the lots from having house construction not conforming to the future design. Mr. McIntosh was concerned that on a 1 hectare lot, somebody could build a house in an area that's proposed to be a future property line, and that could cause problems. We're proposing that we could certainly do the final design in consultation with planning staff, take those 1 hectare lots, basically consolidate all the lots, identify where the building envelopes would be on each of those lots, and ensure that only a home is built on one of those building envelopes. That will protect the balance of the land in the future. So that was the first point. A lower density subdivision within the higher density future design would include paved roads, water lines, dry sewer line to allow easy connection. Mr. McIntosh had mentioned that. We thought that was a pretty powerful statement. We're certainly prepared to do everything that we can do that the development could support to allow this development to proceed, knowing that when the sewer line comes up, everybody can connect on. A third point, which I think is also pretty powerful, small lots don't stay small forever when they have development potential. That just doesn't happen. And each and every one of you probably knows of a large lot that had development potential and it got developed. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. Maybe there's a good intention by the original owner, he's going to keep it. It gets passed down to the kids. If it's got zoning to allow it to be rezoned, it will get rezoned. Once a sewer line is available, each of the 1 hectare lots will at some point be subdivided to create the smaller lots. The fourth point on that aspect, at present there is no maximum lot size in the present zoning. So even if sewer was available to the property, the lots could be developed to 1 hectare. There's nothing the district can do to stop that type of size of development. I don't believe this would happen, and I don't believe the owner of the land would want to maximize density and revenue in the same way I believe the owners of the 1 hectare lots would want to maximize density. Talking about the second point, about the affordability of the sewer. I got a few points on that one. Right now there's about 75 lots in what's referred to as Deer Ridge 1 and in that area that are all on septic systems. The district had in the past approved those developments to occur. The owner of the property is seeking fairness and equity in one of two ways. Either allow the development of large lots on septic systems for an interim period until sewer service is available, or only require the owner to pay for the burden on the new sewer line that is attributable to his development. We feel that it would be unfair for this development to pay the cost. First of all, he couldn't. It's just not possible with these number of lots. But for him to pay that cost and then have that sewer line up there, have the other 75 owners say, now we want to be part of that, seems really unfair. We know through the owner, and I apologize, I should have mentioned the owner wanted to be here, but he wasn't able to come and speak because I did want him to talk about some of the homes in that area that he's aware of. Some of those septic systems up there right now are failing. They would love to be on a sewer system. If our client puts that sewer system in, he pays the full shot, everybody else gets a free ride. And that wouldn't seem to be fair and equitable. We're just saying we would like the owners to pay their fair share and have the other owners or the city pay for the balance and collect through latecomers or connection fees when the other owners hook up. So we're just asking that the owner pays for his fair share. It's not a secret that existing development on the adjacent properties would benefit from the sewer service. If the owner is only required to pay his proportionate share of the service line with the balance of the cost borne by the benefiting property owners, the sewer line may be possible and higher density may be possible for the property. The cost of installing a sewer line to the property is presently too high for the developer to pay, and if the owner sells the property, it will only compound the unaffordability as the land costs are going to go up. He's going to sell it for more than he made. If he can't do it now, the next guy won't be able to either at $1.3 or $1.5 million for the sewer line. So if he decides to sell, which he will, if he can't do something, he's going to sell it, and the ability to put sewer in later is going to become less. So just in summary, the proposed development will create a plan and a framework for a future higher density single-family development, and future increased development would occur when sewer service is available. High density development is not guaranteed, even with sewer service. The proposed development is moving in the right direction by proposing to create some residential lots. We all want lots up there. He's proposing to start that ball rolling. The cost of constructing a sewer line to the property is too high for the development of the lands. If the district wants all or none in terms of residential development or residential density, the owner has advised there'll be none, as it is simply not possible to pay for the entire sewer line from the development revenues. The owner is open to consider funding options with the district that focuses on the principles of fairness and equity, with the owner paying only their proportionate share of the sewer line. And this DVP is a request to allow development to proceed, as this area is within Summerland's growth area. So we're actually all looking to do what's best for the community and what's consistent with the community plan. We're just not taking it to the level that staff would like it to go. We're asking that we are allowed to do that and at least get that ball rolling. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
I'd like to sort of bring you up to date a little bit. We had quite a discussion, as you know, a couple of years ago, and this council moved quickly to make adjustments in our OCP and to create that urban growth area. And there was discussion, well, do we include that area in the urban growth area now, or do we wait until there's push for sewer and do it later? And this council decided, no, we want to make sure that we're giving the developers the green light, that there's confidence for them that sewer will be put there because it's now in the urban growth area. And as you know, we also have property in the Cartwright area, which at some point will be developed. And we all know that the Deer Ridge properties need sewer service. There's no question about that. Somewhere down the line, they've got to have it. So, you know, we're thinking along the lines of moving. I know you've put up with a long time frame now, and this council decided very quickly that that time frame was way more extended than it should have been, in terms of giving you know, various developers the idea of any confidence in what was going to happen. So we've given you the confidence that we're putting that area, we put it in the urban growth area. Now it's just a matter of timing in terms of what council and staff can see their way to do, but we're certainly you know, moving forward, or moving in the direction of trying to get sewer, and there's a lot of different creative ways of doing that, and you just suggested some and how it might be divvied up. And those are some of the questions that council has to deal with. But the overall plan, in terms of what we saw for the need for residential development in the community, was to, you know, I've always thought of that area as a 75, 80 lot potential, given the plans that were presented to us at the time and up till now. And so, you know, that's still the way I want to see it, and it's unfortunate that there's been this massive time delay, but certainly this council tried to move expeditiously, expediently, to make sure that that was no longer the case. And that's what we've done, and we want to make sure that we continue to move ahead to facilitate better, you know, to actually deal with the situation better. Okay, so I guess at that point we can move ahead for more discussion. Any quick questions to the developer?
Or should the rest of the public
Or
comment?
anybody else from the public like to comment first? Sorry. Ma'am? Yes.
Mayor
Pardon me?
Waterman, councillors. My name is Susan Scott. I live at 12815 McClarty Place, and I support staff's recommendation to deny this application. I stood here 3 years ago when the original application was made, and I did not agree with it then. However, I did resign myself to the fact that a beautiful piece of property would be populated by more houses than I would like to see. I'm still resigned to that fact. However, I don't think that it should be with septic systems. It needs to be on a sewage system. There's a couple of questions that come into it. One is the leaching down the hill. I don't care how many houses or how few houses you have, you're still going to get the leach, and that was one of the concerns by some of the citizens on Tenike Street at the time. The other thing, and I think it's more important for me at least, is that when the developer first brought the application forward, they already had approval to build larger lot sizes or larger houses on larger lot sizes with the septic systems. And they decided that they wanted to go ahead and build more houses and also take in the sewage system. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You get one or you get the other. And personally, I don't think that they should be able to have smaller lot si- or larger lot sizes now with the possibility of future development that may then go into having some sewer system come into it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Okay, so we can move forward. Any other council, any questions of staff before we move ahead?
Yes, I have a question of staff. What is the requirement of the other properties up there to connect in future systems? How does that work? How is it? Would it be mandatory or optional or that's all that kind of stuff?
Mr. Mayor, generally speaking, unless the properties petition the district to become a sewer specified area, very similar to what Mr. Murphy's done with the Hunters Hill, there is no obligation for them to connect. What would presumably happen is that because of the situation, if the sewer main was constructed up to service that property, it's expected that people along the way would want to connect, and they would have to pay latecomer fees to make that connection. The only potential problem is that only the properties on the front, the sewer main would be able to connect. If some of these properties wanted to connect, the sewer main would have to be constructed along the road or maybe through the backyards, depending on the situation. Same here, the sewer would have to be extended up this other road. The sewer would have to be extended to service these other areas if they wanted to, but the ones that were adjacent to the pipe could connect at their own wish. They would have to again, petition to be included within the sewer area and pay the latecomer fee, and then they could connect.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes again.
So let's presume that all these other houses up there would, it's Donald Trump. Let's presume all these other houses would eventually connect and pay latecomer fees. How much compensation would that, I guess how much would that reduce the cost of the total?
Back when this was first contemplated, there was quite a discussion over different funding mechanisms, the sewer specified area, latecomer fees, and the cost estimate done at the time was that if all the properties up there were serviced with all of the required mains, that the district would fund the side bar bits here, and the developer would fund the main one. And it was in the neighborhood of $30,000 per property to pay the latecomer fee to connect to that system when it was calculated in 2013. I'm not sure how much it would reduce the $1.5 million bill. It would be 30,000 times however many properties are up there, which looks like there's about 70-ish maybe, so in that ballpark. The only risk is, again, if you're using a latecomer scenario, there's a 15-year limit, so there's an opportunity for people whose septic systems aren't failing to try and wait out the 15 years and not have to pay, versus a specified area where people just pay over a period of time.
Councillor Carlson, and then Councillor Holmes again.
I'm wondering if it's possible to show how close the sort of the final stages of the Cartwright development, which is also got sewer. It's obviously the shortest route, but it's right through Cartwright Mountain. I'm wondering how close those would get to each other in the neighborhood plan that currently exists. You know,
That is an excellent point, and I believe that the full build-out of the neighborhood plan, they're not that far apart, although it would be unlikely, I think, that it would be gravity, because, again, there's a fair mountain in between those two.
So they don't come quite together, but they do get quite close?
Yes, I would say within 500 meters to a kilometer of each other. But the topography, I don't think would be necessarily conducive to allowing them to connect.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Holmes?
I just wonder if I could ask a question of the developer. Have you done the math with the potential latecomer fees, and does that not work with you? Does that not work?
We haven't done the math yet. Since I was engaged with the developer about a year ago, we don't have a real clear idea how or where that line is going to go and how much of that line we have to build. So until we know what the real cost is going to be, because there have been some ideas that may come up that could minimize that bill. So we haven't done the numbers. But if there is the opportunity for a latecomer that can somewhat be crystallized, so he has an idea what his revenue is or would be, we haven't done those numbers.
Thanks. Anybody else? Any other questions of staff? Councillor P?
Mr. McIntosh, the developer has spoken about the opportunity to lay out building envelopes and proceed in that manner, plus a dry sewage system that could be hooked up on the sewer in the future. Are you aware of any developments? Certainly I don't believe we've done this kind of thing in Summerland. Are you aware of any other developments that have used this kind of progression? And if it's been successful?
The only one that's very interesting is this one right here, which is actually in the area. And it's a subdivision on Sunset Place. It was one large lot with one septic field. They petitioned the city to rezone and allow 6 lots or 7 lots to be built in here with a dry sewer that gravities to the north, should sewer ever come up, and a communal septic system that drains to the south down into a communal septic system in this location. And that's the only other one that I'm aware of. There's one strata, I believe. No, it's now connected to the sewer. That's the only one that I'm aware of, and there has been some issues with that one over time.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone like to bring a resolution forward then, please?
I don't know. It's more of a comment than something. I see this as an opportunity. We have an opportunity here that if we have a developer with potentially 75 lots, in the original plan. We have all these other houses up there that ought to be on sewer. There ought to be a way that we can work with all the potential beneficiaries of who could be on sewer to get that sewer put in, that line put in. And it's going to take some coordination. But rather than just saying, well, yes or no, let's put our minds together, work with the residents up there and the developer and say, okay, how can we get this done? How do we do it? Let's just get it done. Let's put that sewer there. Let's develop that area.
I think, CAO, do you want to speak?
I mean, it's the petition process that you would start working. It's not unusual to start working with a neighborhood and with an outlying area like that. The rules still apply where it's 50% of whatever area is chosen for the expansion. If there's 50% of the people that are interested in, or over 50%, 51% of the people that are interested in doing an extension of the sewer line, then it would be done. The district can begin it and do an education process and working with them. The difficulty, again, is priorities and time. It takes a great deal of time to do something like that, to the extent that's needed. If it's sort of a lot of planning, and so it should be something that goes into your list of for strategic directions, because you're right. The petition for sewer doesn't only have to work somebody like Mr. Murphy coming to us. It can be the district saying, we see an opportunity here and let's market it and do the math and figure out how it might work. So it certainly is a possibility to investigate it further. It's just, again, the amount of time and resources.
I think from the outset here, I know for myself, it's been several years in the thinking in terms of the potential creative options that may be available. Considering that the district owns, I believe, Mr. McIntosh, around 27 acres in that area, and that's potential for development. But the sewer line sitting at the base of Cartwright right now, the end point, would have to come around and go up through that development and up through Deer Ridge to Mr. Terry's property. But again, I think as Councillor Holmes has put to it, we need the additional lots, and I understand the creativity that Mr. Lenko's put forward in terms of potential down the road for these lots to come on stream. But I would like to see things happen much more quickly than Mr. Lenko's plans in terms of availability of those lots. So I'm glad you're pushing the buttons now. I think this council's sort of being in progress with a lot of projects, and this whole Cartwright area is one that we see as a real advantage for the community to have a significant number of additional lots. And so I think I'm in favor of denial at this point, because I think we're on the cusp of actually doing a lot more that you will see a real opportunity in. And we're very open to, as we move forward, creative options to see the development takes place up there, because this council's made the effort to deny development on farmland in favor of development in an area like this. And so in terms of how fast things happen, this council's taken on a tremendous workload in the last 2 years that staff is almost getting buried in. And we're looking forward to trying to do something here as quickly as we can. But we have to also take into account our own capacity to do so. So, but it's not in my part for sure, and I think council's original intention of where development takes place is this is where the development will take place. So, I'm sort of asking you to bear with us in essence, which it's unfortunate, but at this point I'm in favor of denial so that we can look at the options that I think will be far more successful overall for the whole community. So with that, I'd like someone to bring a resolution forward, please. Do you have another?
I have a question.
Of staff?
Yes,
Okay,
if I might.
Go ahead, yeah.
When we do look at a potential, and this community does need housing, our community has a growth factor that needs to occur, and it's been difficult, other than infilling, to find that in many ways, so that there are opportunities with this property. My question was in regard to our policy for collectively having part of the properties that need servicing other than the Deer Ridge property coming to us with a petition. Was that what the CAO was referring to? Because I wasn't quite clear around that.
Because in the district of Summerland, the whole district is not in the service area, which is the most common. The community charter allows for the local government allows for two methods of joining in. One is where a group of individuals or property owners
Make
a request and bring a petition to us. As what happened at Miltmore and Juniper 2, the 51% came to us with that. It also allows for the district to initiate that same process and to go out, and then you have to go through an alternative approval process on the people that are involved in that area.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. My follow-up question would be, then we would look to the people, as Susan Scott spoke about, the properties that have need for various reasons perhaps to be included in the sewer system. Would that be those properties that would do an approach on from the district? Because the property that's Deer Ridge doesn't have people living on it that you could do that kind of approach on. So the only one we could do it in the interim with is with the properties that perhaps need servicing, Morrow and all in through there. Is that what your suggestion was? I'm trying to understand how that methodology would work forward for potential.
I was just following up what I understood Councillor Holmes' remark to be, and that is that at times perhaps isn't there creative ways that we can work together to determine how this solution. So what the district can do is draw a circle around properties that they feel are encompassed. So they can choose a number of properties, they can, and say, of those properties that would benefit, is there interest in, could we make the costs not prohibitive for that group of properties? You would get the total cost.
Yeah.
The district would decide whether or not they were going to fund it at all, and then it would be a very similar process to the petition when someone comes to us. If there's 100 properties that are going to get sewer, it would be divided by 100.
But
Does that
that
answer where you're?
it sort of gets me closer. But the only people that we could do that with, presuming if we wanted to go that route, would be the ones that are already there and not serviced. And then that would get the sewer closer to the property that the developer
Right.
wants
Then
to
there
do.
would be then there's the opportunity for latecomers if it was not developed property at that time. Mr. McIntosh, did you want to add something to that?
Yes, I was just going to say that what we would do in that case is this property that the district owns has significant development potential, same as the property the developer owns that has significant potential, with a few others along the way, including the ones that are currently developed. So both big parcel landowners would be approached, us being one of them and the developer being the other. This one has a 75 lot potential that would pay that share. The district has maybe a 60 or 70 lot potential. We would pay that share, and everybody along the way would pay whatever share they would pay. So you don't have to only petition the people who currently have service. You can petition people who might want to have service, very similar to the Hunters Hill situation where there's nobody living there, but he's petitioning with a 67 lot potential. Same idea.
And in the petition, you would show that allocation. You would
Exactly.
so that one big parcel at the top, you would show that it would have that proportion of lots designated to it. So you can be quite creative in the petition or in the documentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate the discussion. I would then, if we went forward with that discussion, want to know the timelines around how that might be a possibility.
And then I think that comes back to the staff
Exactly.
resources and
Capability.
strategic planning, and certainly for us to hold on to that for the next, with our significant projects that we have coming up in works and utilities right now, and of course, they're quite heavily involved, not on the math side of, well, even on the calculation side of things, but we couldn't do it without them, and it would be difficult right now.
I think, Councillor Peak, you bring up a good question, but one of the very first thing we did, January week 1, was to start the process to put this urban growth area in place. So we kicked off the potential for residential development in the area. The creative options that we've been discussing at the moment involve everybody to ensure that there's a sort of least cost scenario for individuals or developers along the line. So, the intent from the outset is to develop this whole area fully for residential development. And, it's just a matter of how we fit it into our strat plan right now in our capacities. So at any rate, I think we've indicated where we want to go. It's a matter of how quickly we're able to do it. And so, I think we need to move ahead. Councillor Boot, would you like to?
Could I bring the resolution
Yes,
forward?
please do. Thank you.
That the development variance permit application for 12830 McClarty Place, legally described as Lot A, DL 3320 ODYD Plan 43953, to vary C.2.2 of Subdivision and Development Servicing Bylaw Number 99-004 by waiving the requirement to connect to the district sewer system, be denied.
Thank you. The seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the way Mr. McIntosh described it exactly sort of I envisioned the only way that this can happen, and this is the kind of the way it needs to happen. And just wanted to say to the developer, even though I can't support more septic up there, but keep the pressure on us to get that sewer up there and to work work together to make that happen, because it's, it can happen. We just have to put our minds to it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've signaled our intent, and by doing this right now, it may not make you abundantly happy in the short term, but in the long term, you'll be extremely happy. And so will all of us in the sense that, there's been concern by the community that how many lots do we have to develop, and it's not just infill. As you know, there's a number of developments that are underway right now that there's a significant number of lots going on stream. So, we're headed in the direction of trying to satisfy the need of having building lots available. But where we're trying to, enhance densities, we certainly need sewer. So we'll figure a creative way of doing this. And as you can imagine, with the district owning the land that we do, we have options there in terms of cost of sewer versus land price to make our way through that creative set of options. So anyway, any other further discussion from council on this? Councillor Barkle.
Yeah, I think perhaps in the long run, the developer will be happy that this was denied, and that we can potentially work something out. Every development just has to wait for its time. Just ask Mr. Murphy. I think that's been on the drawing board for 20 years, right? And we're getting closer, but we got to keep working on it here.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Councillor Barkle, but I think there's been, an unnecessary amount of delay over the last number of years, and that's about all I'll say on the project, on the idea. And I think we've made some significant moves, contrary to an awful lot of people's opinions as to whether this council would move quickly. And I think we're making it absolutely abundantly clear that we want to allow development in areas that are significantly appropriate and retaining our farmland. So we're going to move as quickly as we can within our capacities and as our strategic plans are developed to make sure things happen. So anyway, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Lanco.
I appreciate council's insight on that matter very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're still with Development Services.
One more.
11.3. Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is another development variance permit for the property at 6105 Hespeler Road. It's a single-family house located on Hespeler Road, as shown on the map there. This is one of the remaining vacant lots in the area. Council may remember they did issue a variance permit to this property to allow for a above-height retaining wall to facilitate a driveway access. The plans have now been completed, and the house that is proposed is approximately 1 meter taller than the maximum allowed in the zoning bylaw. The property is steeply sloping, and so it's a bit of a challenge to actually measure the height because the property steps up in a number of places. When the property was actually subdivided a few years ago, well, many years ago, there was a restrictive covenant placed on the properties by the developer at the time to protect their views, and there's a maximum height that any house can be in the area, and that line is shown up here. So this proposed house, even though it's proposed 1 meter higher than the zoning bylaw maximum, it's 1.8 meters, or almost 2 meters, lower than the restrictive covenant that's placed on the property to protect surrounding views. So it's just the central peak of the house that is the subject of the variance proposal. It's 1 meter higher than the bylaw maximum, and staff are recommending support.
Council, questions of Mr. McIntosh?
Ask if there's anyone.
Oh, okay, any questions from, or comments from the public? Guess not. Okay. Proceed. Any questions of Mr. McIntosh? Councillor Peak?
Have we received any correspondence on this?
I have not. I had one fellow at the counter asking about it. Once he realized that it was below the level of the covenant on the neighboring properties, he wasn't concerned.
Thank you.
Someone like to bring the resolution forward, please? Councillor Peak?
A resolution that the development variance permit application for Lot B DL 675 ODYD Plan KAP 51105 at 6105 Haspler Road to vary Section 9.1.5E of the zoning bylaw 2000-450 to increase the maximum allowable height of a single detached house from the 9.5 to 10.5 meter be approved.
Seconder, please. Counselor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Thank you. None opposed. Motion's carried. 11.4.
This one we're just bringing, just for information, just because it's come up in conversation a couple of times previously. It was for the housing, housing needs assessment that City of Penticton's doing. There was some thought that by adding the District of Summerland as an option to the request for proposals, we might have seen just a low-cost addition. It came back as a standalone project of a cost of over $39,000, and staff does not have the budget for that, and was not planning to award it at this particular time. And council can certainly discuss in our next budget go-around, as I've had a conversation with some council, that it was identified as something that we would like to do, but the advantage we'll have is we'll have Pentictons at by the time that we're going to be doing ours. So it's just strictly for information.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Counselor Trainer?
What was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. Is this something that we would, like, I understand that we're just kind of going on, considering going in with Penticton, but normally is this something that we would RFP, especially for like a price tag of this?
Well,
much?
absolutely. If
Yeah.
it had come back for $5,000, it would have, or something, it would have been through their RFP, and it would have been just anecdotal information going through their process. But certainly for a $40,000 item, if it is something that as a whole council decided they wanted to, first of all, you would debate it and make sure it was your priority to get it done. Secondly, we would do a full RFP process.
Okay.
Counselor Peak?
I would like to suggest that it come back at our budget discussion time, because I think there's some certainly some opportunity to better understand what the background is and what the strategies that would help us. And our business community, as well as those that are looking for housing in the area, have seriously said that this is information that we need. So I would like to make sure that it comes back at our budget discussion time.
We'll make note of that.
Oh, Counselor Carlson? Sure. Counselor Barkle?
When will the Penticton report be completed, do you know?
Well, they've just awarded it. I haven't actually seen the terms of reference. Ian, have you seen them?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It'll be the better part of 6 months for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I was just thinking, I'd like to have a look at theirs and see how much value I thought it had before deciding to spend money on one like that.
Right.
In
Well,
Summerland, we have a lot of people who are doing housing need assessments every day in Summerland. They're called developers.
Well, that's a debate that council will have, is there is lots of reports available, and it could be that it can be done in-house, and it could be that it's value to have it done externally. That'll be a discussion we can have.
Counselor Carlson?
I think it also is different in a small town because we do have quite a community and people talk about things like this and sort of look out for their neighbors and have those conversations on Facebook, and it's all over the place. And so there's a way to collect that information without that price tag, I think, and we just have to, again, get creative and find it.
Good point. Yeah, would someone like to bring the recommendation for received, information received? Counselor Peak?
That the council receive the housing needs assessment proposal dated June 24th, 2016, and authored by Urbanics Consultant Limited for information.
Seconder, please. Counselor Barkle, thank you. Got to be quick.
Sorry.
All in favor? Thank you. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. 11.5.
I'm going to turn this one over to Mr. McIntosh to walk through, just saying a couple comments to it first of all, and that's that this one it's a little bit of a tricky item, so we wanted to bring it forward for an initial discussion because it is something that's out there and happening, but it has not been formally adopted by council, and therefore it's out of our staff's jurisdiction. So there's a number of areas that we're going to explore. We may not get full resolution tonight, but it'll be the start of a good discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This issue is one that is in our sign bylaw and pretty much every other sign bylaw in BC, those that have them. And it prohibits what's known as third-party signage. And third-party signage is advertising your business somewhere other than your own property. And the reason that these are prohibited is because there are many businesses that would like, especially the ones that are outlying, that would like to have 3 or 5 or 10 signs pointing the way down the road to their business. And it came up a number of years ago with some of the businesses in the downtown core that are not on Main Street, and they weren't as easy to be found, and they wanted to advertise their businesses off their premises. And there was quite a discussion, and the district's sign bylaw, which is relatively new, it was adopted in March of 2014, follows the lead of most other sign bylaws and prohibits third-party signage except in very specific circumstances. So the reason this has come up is we've all heard of Bottleneck Drive. Basically, the route is shown on the map there, the red line. And there's, I think, 19 members of Bottleneck Drive. And they have got together, made an association, and they have an internal signage policy, which is included, I believe it's included in the staff report. And they have suggested that, or they started petitioning to have signage put up with the logo you can see there, the Bottleneck Drive sign here, and with 1 or 2 wineries down the road. And then when you get to the next winery, there's the next 2 after that, et cetera, et cetera. And the intent was that they would have the same colors, the same font, the same brand, but you could lead somebody through the wine route for tourism purposes, but not every winery has their own signage with their own logo and their own font all over the street. So it became a bit of a problem a few years ago, I think about 2 years ago. So staff took it upon themselves to try and identify every single sign on the Bottleneck Drive route, which is attached as Schedule B, which is a fairly significantly long document that shows the signs both from the north end of town going through down to Troll Creek and from the south end going back the other way. And there's quite a few signs there at the moment. So that document was drafted. It has never been to council before. It became the unofficial guide to Bottleneck Drive signage, so that when members of Bottleneck wanted to have another sign or a new sign, or wineries changed names, or a new one sprouted up and old one stopped, they would come to the district, we'd pull out the document, we'd talk about what signs they needed, where they needed to go. They would pay to have the signs constructed, and district staff would install them either on new signposts or on signposts that were existing, so that staff had some control over, that you weren't putting Bottleneck Drive signs on telephone poles or stop signs or other traffic signs. So this seemed to work relatively well for the last couple of years. There's the list now of the members of Bottleneck Drive Association. There are only 2 wineries in Summerland that are not members, and one of them has approached the district a couple of times suggesting that they want to have third-party signage, same as all the other wineries, but they don't want to be a member of Bottleneck Drive. They want their own sign. They don't appreciate the font and the color and all the rules that go along with the association. So it seemed time to get some input from council as to how to manage this situation.
One of the wineries that's a non-member has been in the office a number of times and is absolutely furious if he's told that he can't have third-party signage, and in fact put it up, which I believe it was taken down. No, maybe not.
Not yet.
But that he just said very clearly that your bylaw states that it's not allowed. So if it's not allowed, it shouldn't be allowed for anybody, and or it needs to be allowed for everybody. And that's when we started to talk a lot about the fact that we don't have anything in writing. We do enforce third-party signage on a regular basis with other issues. They would, as Mr. McIntosh said, if you do allow third-party signage in general, they would be everywhere. And people that have prime pieces of property, they also don't feel that that's fair because they pay for prime property in high-profile locations. And there's different ways of looking at this. I mean, some people say to have a society that's out of the control of the municipality, that that's not fair. One of those two wineries could say, well, they don't treat us well, or and so that's the argument against having a society, or else you go in partnership with them and say Bottleneck Drive is our sanctioned group, and we are going to work in partnership with them, and you actively work on maintaining that partnership with them. There is some example, we've been doing a little bit of research on the other groups that are around the region. There's the Golden Mile in Oliver, and one that was in West Kelowna.
West Kelowna Wine Trail.
West Kelowna Wine Trail, but neither of those operate within the blessings of the municipality. Did you want to explain how those two work?
Sure. The Golden Mile is actually outside the city of, or district town of Oliver, and they're in the RDOS. And those of you on the RDOS board probably remember that there was quite a effort underway to clean up the myriad of third-party individual signage that all the wineries had out along that stretch of road, and that all the municipalities in the RDOS were all lined up to have all those removed, but it was under the Ministry of Highways jurisdiction, and then they did not support the removal of the signs at the time, so they're still there. And in my recent discussion with the RDOS, there's another move afoot to have those cleaned up. So they have an association, but they don't have any signage policy within the association. The West Kelowna Wine Trail, they do have an association as well. Because they are a legacy from, they used to be Central Okanagan Regional District, and the signage was maintained by the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. They have a lot of signs that look similar to ours with the little grape thing and some signage that West Kelowna is not supportive of now. Now they're putting up banners that say West Kelowna Wine Trail, but they will not put any individual winery's name on the banner. However, there's still a whole ton of individual names with arrows pointing from the highways days.
I think
So
it could be an exceptionally good opportunity for us to work with Bottleneck Drive. I think there's some further work that needs to be done with policy making, because I think that both within Bottleneck Drive Association themselves, they're becoming more formalized themselves, making their own policies and understandings, and the recognition that if this is going to work, and we are actually supplying, our labor force to put up the signage, then there needs to be an expectation that we also have policy. And I think if we were to step that up and build on that, it's a really great opportunity to have a win-win on both.
So, CO, do you feel that this recommendation supports what you're just saying?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially going back and looking at it and
That's
seeing
right.
how it can work.
That's right.
Yeah, I see.
And we only wanted to take a certain amount of steps before we got the general direction from council that yes, indeed, keep working with them.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, it's a real commercial option
Yeah.
for us, so. Councillor Peak?
Could I bring it forward and then we can
Sure,
have some
yep.
discussion? That the staff be directed to draft a signage policy for council's review that exempts signs approved by the district in accordance with the Bottleneck Drive signage policy attached to Schedule A from the regulations prohibiting third-party signage in sign bylaw number 2013-026.
Seconder, please. Councillor Barkwell, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkwell?
I think that this is an excellent solution all around. It's not controversial for us to have these signs. It serves so many needs. The tourists need them to find the wineries need to have tourists come to them. It's what this community's depending on. And they look good, and having them in the district's control is the ideal situation. So are there any shortcomings to this that I don't know?
Only the two, at this point, it's two wineries that say, no, we don't want to belong to them, we don't want to pay the membership fees, we don't agree with their policies, we don't, and then, so looking forward to saying, okay, if there's more, are we still okay with that? If there's people that felt that they're, so we have to deal with that maybe in some of the policy work on some of the restrictions.
Okay, again, and then Councillor Peak.
Okay, I didn't realize that to get a sign, you had to belong to this association. I thought it was a loose.
No, that's the idea, is that that they actually,
You pay a fee.
you actually pay a fee.
Yeah, so couldn't we have a sign policy that accommodates everybody who wants to
Well, that's
be
the.
part of a group, or, I mean, a route without belonging to an association?
But that's, I think, probably where, West Kelowna or whatever's going towards that. That would be more of a model where we take it on
Mhm.
and we create the trail and allow people to come in. This way it's giving, I mean, the thing I like about the idea of Bottleneck Drive is that it's the wineries working together as a unified group, and that they need to find ways of maximizing. And I don't know how much outreach they've done to the two outliers at this point in time, but I don't think you're going to find a complete win-win in any model. So right now we're suggesting using Bottleneck Drive as them doing. It's a significant amount of work in organizing them all and planning the route, et cetera, that we're not having to do.
Councillor Peak, Councillor Carlson, and then Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. I think thematic routes are really an inventive way of looking after signage. So I think that this is a great opportunity. The fact that we've had a trial for a couple of years or 2.5 years proves the opportunity is there. And in a tourism area, as Councillor Barkwell said, you really do need directions. And when you have thematic routes, then people can see easily how to do it. I think that's worth exploring and supporting.
Councillor Carlson.
It's similar to everyone else. I think that what Bottleneck Drive has done over the last 2 years has been really important for the wine industry in Summerland. I think they've come a long ways, and everyone who participates in it now sort of knows what Bottleneck Drive is and put Summerland's winery on the map. And the people who don't want to participate, maybe eventually they'll see a reason to want to and be able to participate in something like this. I know how much work it is to try and get growers and producers to work together and to run an association, and it's certainly not easy, and you're never going to get everybody on board. But that's okay, I guess. If we have a policy in place, it's probably worth doing it right, and I think Bottleneck Drive has done it right so far, so we should be grateful that we don't have to do it for them.
Councillor Holmes.
Like everyone else, I think Bottleneck Drive has put Summerland on the wine tourism map. The community has a lot to be grateful for them. They've done a great job, and to the wineries that don't want to join them, I would just say that it's for any problems, it's better to work within. I run tennis tournaments, and you join Tennis BC so they can help promote it. I don't necessarily agree with all of Tennis BC policies, but you work with them so that they can, to take advantage of the things that they can offer you, right? And it's the same as any association and anything. You're not going to agree with everything that association is going to present to you. You may think, well, this isn't worth my money. This isn't worth my membership dues because I don't take advantage of this or whatever. But it's what they do give you that you do take advantage of it. And all wineries benefit. All wineries in this town benefit from Bottleneck Drive. They all do. Even if they're not a member. So I have no problems with signage being limited to Bottleneck Drive members.
Thank you. Anything else? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries, none opposed. Okay, we'll move ahead to Yeah, 12.1, challenge Penticton.
Good evening, council. Before you is a request for road closure for the upcoming Challenge Penticton event on August 28th. The bike loop of the tour is looking to close the Sandy Dump area and a section of Thornburg on the morning of the event from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. As described in the report.
And again, the only reason it comes to council is when it's the first time. It's our policy that anything first-time requests come to council.
So I saw the diagram. It looks, well laid out. And I guess, there was a policy for the Grand Fondo that the cones had to be so many meters apart. And if it's laid out the way you laid it out here in their map, it should work well. I'm just sort of thinking the way the route works, because they actually change lanes as they get moving back down the highway, and that takes a significant amount of work to make sure that that happens safely. So it looks good. Councillor Peak?
Yes, we've spoken about this in the background before. When we do this kind of accommodation, do we have an opportunity to be part of the advertising or a support for the event?
I guess that was a recent discussion that was had, so with this event coming as quickly since that discussion, we haven't for this event, but.
We are going to be talking about it at our management meeting tomorrow, because I think that has been something that we have missed an opportunity here.
I agree.
For a sponsorship when we are.
Okay, somebody
Thank you.
else? Sorry,
I
Councillor.
was just going to bring the motion forward.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
12.1 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. None opposed. Moving ahead, okay, we've got new business, the
Date
tree
item.
issue.
All right.
CAO.
So I have given all of council a report on the tree removal at 898 Lighthouse Landing. Council has received some of the correspondence that we've received, but not all of it. And as I just briefly mentioned in the committee of the whole meeting this morning, it's apologize for the lateness of it, but just because you just got the report, I'll just very quickly review. We were first contacted by the property owners before they owned the property to ask about the trees and whether or not they were protected whether they could be removed. They were not concerned at that time about the health, or didn't indicate any concern about the health. In fact, their email, which I quoted here, they said they were crummy looking cottonwoods and there doesn't appear to be a reason that they would be protected. That was before they bought the property. Then they went ahead and purchased the property anyway, even though we told them in writing that there was a covenant on the property for those trees, and that it had been negotiated as part of the subdivision creation, and that there was a significant amount of greenery that was removed in order for the mature trees to remain. And we also told them that there was environmental concerns in those regards. So in March 2016, they asked again whether or not they could remove the trees. This is when they started to construct. They had purchased the property. Again, that particular correspondence, they did not suggest that the trees were unhealthy. They were worried about potential liability if they were to fall. Since May 2016, they had taken the trees and covered the bottom or the trunks with a high amount of soil. I believe we talked about that at council briefly, and with fill. And they were informed that they needed to remove that fill because that would kill the trees. They didn't, at the beginning, they didn't remove the fill. After a couple visits by the bylaw officer, they removed some of the fill, but they still had a significant amount there, at which time the director of works went with a letter to meet with them. They refused to take the letter and told them that there was no use meeting until we had reviewed an arborist report that they had submitted. They dropped an arborist report to the district. They addressed it to me. I was away from the office that week. I didn't receive it for some time after that, but in the meantime, staff was reviewing the arborist report and talking to various parties. In the report, I gave you the comments of our landscaping staff, and of Doug Ellis, a certified arborist that was going to be doing the tree removal when he was scheduled. They all had concerns about the content in the arborist report that provided by the homeowners. And then I've also attached our shared environmental planner's comments that she had provided at the time to Mr. McIntosh about her concerns with the report and other items. At that point, we determined that there was enough question on the report to need to get a independent study ourselves, which we were in the process of doing. Unfortunately, they were very busy, and the earliest that they could get somebody, after trying a number of them, was for July the 25th, when Mr. Stam, our manager of works, contacted the homeowners to tell them that it was scheduled for July the 25th. He was then told that it was too late, that they'd had the trees removed. So they were given a letter, provided a letter late last week from me, indicating the amount of concern and how we must take our covenant seriously. They have responded, I didn't attach it here yet, that they actually said that they were not aware of the covenant or the environmental sensitivity, which right from the very first email I have with them, it's clear that they are aware of that, and that was written in the first ones. And the intent, unless council directs me otherwise, is that we'll further follow up. I have requested a meeting with them this week to talk about the seriousness of it and what their intent is to do with it. Subsequent to all of this happening, we've started to get a number of letters from concerned citizens who have begun noticing that the trees are gone, aware of the public process that went through during the redevelopment. Mainly the concerns we've got so far is that, number one, the protection of covenants in general, the purpose of covenants. So if a covenant is removed, if is violated, what's to say any other covenant wouldn't be violated if there's no ramifications for them? And also, just a real genuine concern, I think, on the environmental issues, in that those trees were environmentally sensitive, and I think that Allison does a good summary of that in her notes as far as what the observations were there at the time that it was decided to protect those trees. So I have a proposed motion for council's consideration to receive the report for information, to recognize that it is a serious incident to violate a covenant, so to pursue potential avenues of recourse, and to work with the property owners to, at this point in time, I haven't had the opportunity to meet with them to find out their ideas on how to mitigate some of the negative environmental impact from the removal.
Thank you. Okay, any questions of our CAO regarding the issue? Councillor Peak?
I think maybe we should bring it forward and then have a discussion. Would that be?
Okay.
So I'll bring forward the report regarding the tree removal as written in the piece from the CAO.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Okay, up for some discussion amongst us. Councillor Holmes.
I find it shocking that in 2016 somebody would have such disregard for something that's obviously environmentally sensitive. And I don't even know how you could live in the Okanagan and not be aware of the importance of cottonwoods to our environment, and that someone, even if those trees, needed to come down, that you would bring them down in the summer when birds are obviously nesting there. It just boggles my mind, to be quite honest. I think we need to. I fully support this motion. and I think we have to be prepared to take a hard line on this and be very firm. And I don't know what all our options are, but I think we have to explore all our options. And I hope the property owners understand the mistake that they've made, and that they'll cooperate fully with us from here on.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Peak?
I just want to endorse Councillor Holmes' remarks. I think that the environment is very important to the people that live here, and that we have good reason to pursue this in the manner that we need to.
Councillor Carlson?
I think it's even more important because we recognize what that property was and why those trees were protected, and the development that's going on down there and how much it's changing Trout Creek. So I think that there's a lot of disregard by these property owners for what the community is and what kind of neighborhood they've moved into.
That's certainly, certainly not restricted to Trout Creek. We've had environmental assessments done on a number of areas. A significant area, for example, is the issue we just dealt with up in top of Deer Ridge. A significant area of that property is listed as environmentally sensitive, and that determined where the proposed development could take place. And we've done that now, and there's other areas that have been receiving reports of the necessity to observe species at risk, environmental concerns regarding riparian issues, and so on and so forth. And it's definitely on most municipalities, and certainly on this municipality's mind, that we have to be cognizant and bring these issues forward, because I, for one, and I think council feels the same way, have no desire to destroy habitat and affect the natural environment if we can avoid it. And we need to be able to work with our biologists and so on to make sure we do the best job we can. And I agree with Councillor Holmes that this motion is important, and we should move ahead on it and let staff and our CAO go along with further discussions with the residents. So we've had a move, Councillor Trainer.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I share the same concerns as the other councillors. I'm really disappointed that this happened. There's absolutely no trees left on that property at all. There's just a couple left, which were protected by these covenants. And I don't think that the district or council puts covenants on properties lightly. Like, we take it very seriously, and when they're put on, they have integrity. And if we don't enforce them, then what's the point of having them? And they're not there to inconvenience people or to be a pain. They're there to protect the environment, and I think that that's really important for our community. So I'm disappointed by this, and I hope that we can come up with a solution and work with the homeowners to try to fix this somehow.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries with none opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving ahead to 14.1. This is the dealing with our public hearing information. CEO?
This is following the public hearing from earlier this evening. If there's questions that you need clarity on, Mr. McIntosh can answer them. If you do wish to proceed, there were no comments at the public hearing. The resolutions for third reading are here. Mr. McIntosh, does this require minister approval? Is that why we don't have option for adoption on here?
Yes.
So it's just third reading you'd be doing today?
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to bring that resolution forward, please. Councillor Holmes, go ahead.
I move that the official community plan bylaw amendment, Parks in Lower Town 2, bylaw number 2016-026, be read a third time, and that zoning bylaw amendment, Parks in Lower Town 2, bylaw 2016-027, be read a third time.
Councillor Peak, will you second it?
Certainly will.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Okay,
The,
14.2, CAO.
that one is simply adoption of the loan authorization bylaw that has been going through the system for the last.
Okay, great. Thank you. Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Barkwell? Thank you.
That the loan authorization bylaw for Juniper, Miltimore, Willow, and Tate Local Sanitary Sewer Service Area Bylaw 2016-23 be adopted.
Councillor Booth, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to councillor reports. Councillor Trainer.
Okay, I'll keep mine quick. On July 17th, I volunteered at the 100th anniversary for the Summerland Gardens. It was a really great event, and the weather was good on Sunday, so lots of people came, and I just wanted to say thanks to the organizers for doing that and all the volunteers and everybody from all over the Okanagan who made the effort to come up. I was working in the silent auction, and I had an opportunity to talk to people from Kelowna and from Vernon who made the trip down, and they loved it, and they wanted that to happen annually. And I said, well, maybe not to that extent, but we'll see what we can do. So that was really great. And then on July 19th, I attended the Economic Development Seminar at the Chamber. Thanks to Christine for putting that on. I was only able to stay half the day, but it was really interesting. We had some good discussions about economic development, so that was good. And that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Barkle.
Nothing that other councillors haven't been to report on.
Thank you. Councillor Booth.
I just wanted to add a little bit that came out of the RDOS meeting on Thursday. The RDOS is tired of, if I could use that word, is tired of winning every year from the city of Penticton, winning the Bike to Work Week Challenge. And so they have expanded the challenge, and I have said that we would take them on.
What, Summerland Council?
Summerland Council. So, I hope that's okay to accept that on your behalf.
Yeah.
We talked about a number of UBCM potential resolutions. They haven't got their dates all secured yet, but it included the school closures, the two-tier rates that Councillor Barkle brought up, policing, and a wildfire management discussion. So those are things that, we've been talking about it at our table too. So, and a couple of other things, again, that have already been mentioned. That's it.
Well, if there's a challenge, I think we'll just have to ensure that we throw a ringer in there, and that ringer is our CAO. In terms of a bike
Hey, it's
challenge.
staff too. It's not just council. It's staff as well.
Councillor Carlson.
I don't really have much to report. Our life has been cherry harvest for the last month, and it's going to continue. We have a lot of interesting people from all over the world working for us right now, and many of them actually live in Summerland, including Filipino family and Japanese family, 3 Syrian refugees. We've got folks from Eastern Europe and all over. We've got Chileans. Like it's really neat, and everyone wishes they could just stay here forever. So I think something's going well.
Okay, that sounds great. Councillor Holmes.
I just wanted to make mention of the Ornamental Gardens 100th anniversary celebrations last weekend. I attended on the Saturday, and it was a great event. The weather was a bit iffy on the Saturday, but still lots of people out there. And I wanted to tour the superintendent's house there, but I waited too late, and so I had to come back on the Sunday and to do it on the Sunday. And as many of you know, the superintendent's house there it's only one of 2 provincially recognized heritage buildings in the province, and it's a shame it's not open regularly to the public, because it is something that's absolutely worth seeing. It is Richard Cannings on Saturday was there. He made some opening remarks, and he talked a lot about his father was a photographer up at the research center back in the day, and he made lots. He talked lots about his memories of the place, and how those ornamental gardens used to be a real gathering place for people in Summerland, a real social hub, and a lot of that isn't there, has gone by the wayside, and there's various reasons for that. And in the Cultural Plan Task Force public consultation last winter, we heard a lot about the ornamental gardens and how we need to bring, Summerland has to get it back somehow. It's been lost to us. A lot of it's being the closing of the back gate off the KVR, and this connects to the KVR, and it connects to the PIB, and all these connections, have to be made, remade to get all these great cultural assets of ours back where we can all enjoy it, I think. And it's a big task, but it's they're all connected, and I think if we're all working, communities all working together, and I know working with the federal government is a challenge, but I think if we can get those ornamental gardens back, so they're an important part of the community, it'd be great for both residents and visitors. So that's just my little stump speech from the 100th anniversary.
A lot of that revolved around security issues over the last 40 years. It used to be more open, and it got tighter and tighter. Councillor Peak.
Thank you. Several of us attended the skateboard public meeting. I thought it was a good meeting showing the concept and design, and they're looking to their fundraising opportunities. There were an awful lot of good questions that came forward, including the young people that were present at that meeting, and I appreciated the change of times so that we could attend that. I spoke with the Arts Council regarding their space, and I also want to give a celebratory congratulations to the children's activities that the Art Council was able to put on. It was certainly great for the children involved and is a good opportunity for the community. We've had Cultural Task Force meetings in the interim, and I also want to acknowledge that 100 Seasons in the Sun is an absolutely wonderful thing to have achieved at the Ornamental Gardens. There certainly is heritage value in those grounds and the opportunity to use them in a different way, and that's one of the things I would like to see some work go forward on. As Councillor Holmes mentioned, it's certainly from the community consultation, the ornamental gardens are thought of as an important aspect of our community, and they were a gathering place, and they could be that again for various possibilities. I make note of the fact that TOTA sent out a communication that they are hiring someone to work with the First Nations in many aspects of economic development, and I think there's potential there with the PIBs in Penticton and our KVR and the Ornamental Gardens for some good collaboration, and I think that that's an opportunity in speaking with the ministers when we go to UBCM, that be a collective discussion, because I think there's opportunities beyond just the KVR. I want to congratulate the Chamber on bringing forward the economic development blocks discussion. I thought the provincial reps that were there were knowledgeable, and the anecdotal discussions were very valuable. Economic structural discussions are very similar, whatever you're looking at. I like the acknowledgement from the provincial reps that the partnership with the Chamber and the way we do our economic development and tourism has great value and provides good deliverables for our community. I thought the discussion was well orchestrated, and that we had some valuable things that came out of that. So thank you for making that possible.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody from the public like to make any comment? Yes. Dorothea. That's you.
Hello, Dorothea Atwater, 10409 Happy Valley Road. I'm here tonight just briefly representing the Riga Festival Society, who are putting on the Marginal Arts Festival. And I just want to thank all of your worship and council and staff for your support over the last few months. We have a very impressive series of events that have been developed for this festival between September 1 and 3. And the highlight of that will be the jazz concert by Campbell Riga on the Saturday the 3rd. He's a graduate of Summerland High School. He's traveled all over the world with his saxophone, and he's coming back for a homecoming concert on that night. And there's a free concert in the park that afternoon, and lots of other things which you probably already know. and you'll be receiving more information soon about, but this is just George's birthday is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. He would have been 84. He died at 55. But it's, again, I couldn't not come down here and say, celebrate George's birthday tonight. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Dorothea. Appreciate that. The press.
I have a question
It's
for
you.
CAO, please. And this has to do with removal of the trees at Lighthouse Landing. And you will seek resolution with the property owners about mitigating the environmental impact. Is there a possibility, if that fails, of a financial penalty?
Potentially. It is protected by a legal document, which is the covenant, and the recourse in the covenant is any expenses related to the violation of the covenant. So mature cottonwood trees of that size would have great value on them, but it's preliminary in our discussion since I haven't been able to meet with them at this point in time.
Okay, I guess, Christine, any comment? You're sort of in between the press and the public. What qualified you? Okay.
I appreciate having a private slot, though.
Yeah. Okay, motion for adjournment, please. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.